Looking to find harmony and work-life balance? Join Coach AnnaJo as she shares practical strategies, empowering mindsets, and inspiring stories to live the life you want to lead on AnnaJoTalks, Work Life for Badasses. Now, here's your host, Coach AnnaJo.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of AnnaJoTalks, Work Life for Badasses. I'm Coach AnnaJo, and I'm here to challenge the myth of balance and find real harmony in modern life. Today's episode, I have a special guest, one amazing woman, mom, daughter, entrepreneur, author, speaker, friend, a true badass with amazing stories to share with you. Here we have Christina DeOliveira. Hello. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I am so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here. So happy to be here. Yeah.
I think we need to work let our listeners to say today's episode is going to be fire. So Christina has this high energy, like you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
But now I would like to read the bio. And Christina has a long bio because she is the true badass here in the house at AnnaJoTalks, Work Life for Badasses. Yes. And we will explore more, but I think it's worth it to read it because it's amazing things. So let's go. Okay, Christina?
Let's do it.
All right. So meet Christina, the heart and brilliant mind behind Simply Christina, an empowering online platform for high-achieving women navigating life transitions, enriched with a philanthropic spirit. When a woman joins Christina's program, she not only invests in her own growth, but also sponsors another woman in need, carefully vetted through third-party validation. The mission? To uplift and empower as many women as possible along the way. As a corporate leader turned passionate entrepreneur, Christina wholeheartedly believes in the transformative power of personal development to bring purpose, fulfillment, and freedom to women's lives. Christina is also the founder of SheThrivesNow.org, a nonprofit organization that creates a platform for successful and empowered women to uplift and support their fellow sisters. It's an organization dedicated to providing resources and support the women who yearn to take charge of their lives and become the true boss. They were meant to be, but lack the necessary resources and support to do so. Having strong ties to her Portuguese roots, Christina proudly identifies as a Jersey girl, born and raised. Her driving force of her why stems from the deep love she has for her two grown children and their parents. Christine has an MBA in Global Entrepreneurship. She's an IC certified professional coach, leadership, Energy Leadership Index master practitioner, and certified Jack Canfield and Tony Robbins mentor. It was worth it to read all this because this says a lot of who you are. And a Portuguese sister in the house. Hey, Christina!
That's right.
I think we're ready to kick off this episode, right? We kick off already, but I would like to start with how we met, actually, right? Because we didn't meet for a long time. At least the time we are like putting in here like these episodes. So we met 7 months ago, something like that. But once we connected, right? There was this energy. Yeah. And I thought it was because you are from Lisbon, Portugal, your roots coming from Lisbon. So we speak Portuguese when we are together.
Yes.
But every time I meet you, there is a story that blows my mind away. So it's like, these ladies are badass. So here we have, really, you say the Jersey girl, but the Portuguese Jersey girl can be, right? Yeah. I would like to ask you, so your story. And starts where you start, because I'm sure that I will be like, it's another nugget of your story that I don't know. And our listeners will love to know as well.
You got it. Yeah, well, I'm happy to share that. well, you mentioned it that I am first generation American, actually. My parents migrated from Portugal to this country on their own. They had no family here. We had nobody here. We didn't, no money, no language, no anything. So, just your typical immigrant came looking for the American dream for their, future children. We weren't even born yet, right? So they came to this country on their own looking for something bigger, better, more hopeful for their future and the future generations. So 5 years later, 5 years in, I was born, and 5 years after me was my brother. And so here I am. We grew up humble beginnings, always humble upbringing in terms of, we worked hard. My parents, instilled strong work values in us. It was all about family and hard work, and those were the values that I was raised on.
Yeah.
Education was secondary. It was important because especially they didn't have an education, so they wanted to make sure that we did, but they also respected our journey and our path.
Okay.
So I didn't actually choose to continue my education outside of high school beyond an associate's degree. I felt like I needed to get into the workforce, and that was really my driving force. I had a vision that I would be working in corporate, wearing suits and having a briefcase, and someday, and that was my thing. And I was anxious to get that journey started. My brother took a different path. He actually did go to a 4-year traditional college. He walked down the aisle. He had the cap and gown. He got to experience the American college experience. I didn't get that. I did regret it some years later, but fortunately, I did work for a company that was incredibly supportive of me, and I got to do it later on, the hard way by going to school at night, which led to all my education. I have 3 masters. One of them is the MBA, right? And but I will say that I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself, so I never really thought that I could do it. But fortunately, I had a boss who was also a mentor, who must have seen something inside of me that I didn't see in myself, right? Like I knew I was a hard worker, but I didn't know how far I could go. He must have seen it in me, and he's the one who pushed me and encouraged me to go back to school. I didn't want to, but he almost made it a proposition for my job. Like you're only 20 years old, because I was 19 when I started and working at this company. And he's like, okay, what are you going to do for the next couple, no, you got to go back to school. And he basically insisted. And since the company was footing the bill, I felt like I didn't have another choice, so I did it. And what I realized was like, wow, I could actually do this. Well, then I became a lifelong junkie of learning. I love learning. I started going to school, and I didn't stop for the next 20 years. And that's where I got all my degrees and certifications and things. And it got to the point where I was so hooked on learning that I had to force myself to stop. Okay, stop.
Yeah.
You have enough certifications, you have enough degrees, what are you going to do with it? Okay. So that was that. That was that. I think being raised in my culture, I was very sheltered. I'm the girl.
Okay.
I'm the girl. So I was very sheltered. I was very protected. And it all came from a place of love, but it didn't well prepare me for life. And so it wasn't until, I did what I thought I was supposed to do, which was I got that beautiful job to pay my bills, the responsible thing. And I got married. By the time I was 21, I was married, and I started, building my life and my family, like that's what I thought. I was following the path of what I thought I was supposed to do. And honestly, the world shook for me in my mid-30s when my brother received a diagnosis of a brain tumor. And it was malignant, and it was not a good prognosis. And that shook my world because he was my only brother, and he was truly my best friend. Love of my life. And getting that, it was shocking to me. because
Yeah.
I had had the good fortune of never having experienced any tragic losses in my life up until that point. So
Yeah.
the idea that I may not just lose somebody, but I'm going to lose my brother, like that was not inconceivable to me. But
Yeah.
it also, it was the first time that I actually started to look at life differently. I started to question things. But
Okay.
by this point, I was also a very busy moving up the corporate ladder, which I did very successfully up until I got as high as vice president of operations. So I had a very good corporate career. And I was juggling the kids and raising the kids. My
Yeah.
husband was an airline pilot. He wasn't home much. So I had to kind of juggle it all by myself a lot. And and so I kept going. I kept doing the thing that I was supposed to do, pay the bills, keep the job, do all that. But I started questioning what's all this about. But it wasn't until my brother passed away, several years later, that I really started to question everything. And
Yeah.
that was when we were at his wake and people were coming
Mm.
up to us and sharing stories of the impact that he had on their lives and how
Oh,
they may not be here, they may not be alive, they may not be doing what they're doing had it
hmm.
not been for Coach, because
Yeah.
they called him Coach, right? And
Hmm.
so he was a high school educator and athletic coach. So they always referred to him as Coach. And
Oh,
anyway, I stood on that line and brokenhearted, but also suddenly it hit me and I said, like, what is my life all about? Like, what is happening here? Like, I just started questioning it all. Who's going to be at my funeral? Who's going to be
oh,
sharing stories like this about me? And it really, it just, but kept going. And I have to tell you that 3 months to the of that day
hmm.
that I stood on that line and received those stories, 3 months on the day of that, which was May, I received notice that my position at Prudential was being eliminated after 24 years
Oh,
of service.
oh my God. Okay.
And I was shocked and not
Wow.
shocked because I kind of had a sense that something was brewing.
Okay.
But I went back to my desk and I sat there. I looked up at the calendar on my wall and I saw the date. And
Oh my God.
I
Oof.
saw the date was 3 months to the day, and I said, there's no coincidence here. And
Oh
I
my God.
looked up to the sky and I spoke to my brother and I
Yeah.
said, I hear you loud and
Oh
clear
my gosh. I'm
this
having
time.
goosebumps. Oh, I
Yeah.
did see, I knew I didn't know some parts of the story. Okay.
Yeah. So I said, I looked up and I said, I got you. I know what you're telling me. I know what you want me to do. I'm going to do it. And so I did. And I had an opportunity to stay with the company. They offered me a role in another department, and I said, no, it's time for me to
Oh,
go. And so I took my severance package. I took a little time off to kind of recalibrate. Um,
absolutely. Mm.
my loss was not just my brother. Leading up to my brother's loss, and in the midst of all of watching him die, a very slow and tragic death. Um, I had also lost my marriage. My husband came home one day after 20 years and said he didn't want to be married anymore. So I lost my marriage that I thought was forever, and I'm left to raise my two young children at the time were 9 and 13 and figure out my life. And the result of that news led me into a spiral
Of course.
that
Oh
led
gosh.
to a clinical depression. I was suicidal. I did not want to live. That was the only dream in my heart. I just wanted to die every single day. I didn't have the courage to do it myself, so I would just pray that there would be an accident, a car accident, something would happen. I got hit by a truck, anything. But that wasn't God's plan. That was my plan. And it wasn't acceptable, apparently. And God chose to take my brother instead of me. But I do recognize the reason for that now is that, my brother's, I think, mission on earth was complete. and mine was far from complete. I had a lot of work to do. So I went in search of my soul and my purpose, and I started to just look at my life completely differently. And so the things that I had once valued, having those big corporate jobs, sitting in my big offices, having people work for me, getting a nice big paycheck, you know, having a fancy title and fancy business cards, everything lost its meaning to me. Nothing meant
Yeah.
anything to me. Nothing was important. I was like, what's it all for?
Yeah.
That's not my legacy. That's not how I'm going to be remembered. So anyway, that was it. That was the beginning of the next chapter in my life. It actually led me to write my first book, The Joy of Losing Your Job, Hope
Oh,
Beyond
okay.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears, which I'm very excited to announce that I am relaunching along with a 100 city tour where I will be spreading joy to countless individuals who are struggling with their job loss and are looking for that joy and they don't know where to start. I developed an online course to correspond with the joy with the book, and also a YouTube channel that is coming soon called Joyride TV, where I'm
Hmm.
literally just going around and asking people, what does joy mean to you and how have you found it in your life? Especially after, facing adversities, right? None of what I'm sharing is new to anyone. Everybody's been through their things, right? Everybody has their stories, right? And so that's why it's important to share them so that nobody feels like they're
Yeah.
alone, right? Like that's so important. Like don't feel like you're alone. And other people have gone through it, and you're gonna get through it too. You're going to get through it too. So, yeah, so that led me to my first book. It led me to becoming an ICF certified coach. It led me to Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield. It led me to all of these things around personal
Yes.
development, the self-discovery of what really makes me happy. And when I look back at my corporate career, I said, well, I did this, and that, a lot of project management, a lot of things. And I said, what really made me happen? And I realized everything that really fueled my soul had everything to do with the people. As long
Mm.
as I was being of service to the people through talent management, performance management, talent management, change management, as long as I was serving the people, whether they were
Hmm.
employees, you know, um, that's that's what fueled me every day, as long as I was feeling like I was making a difference in their day. And then fortunately, that's what led me to discovering change management. And I realized, holy cow, all those years I was doing
Mm.
project management, I said it wasn't project management that fueled me, it was the change management, which is the people side of the change.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what really excited me, because I so believe in productivity through people, and that without the people and happy people in the workforce, you don't have a business. You don't
Yes.
have a business. You got to put them first. So I've recently created a whole program centered around helping businesses integrate affordable change management solutions for their employees, because it's so critical. I so believe in it. And it's called Rapid Change Mastery, and that's coming soon.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so that's kind of my journey. It's
That's
been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster and an incredible learning experience. I don't have any regrets. I don't feel that I've ever had any failures. I believe that everything has happened for purpose, you know,
yeah.
and I am doing what I'm doing today, and I am this person I am today because of the experiences I've had in my life, and
Yeah.
I'm grateful, and I'm grateful. I couldn't have seen it back then going through it, but I recognize that now. So,
Wow. I
yeah.
knew that it will be something like that. My God. Ooh, I bet our listeners are like, now they stop their cars. They are just like now listening again to hear your story because it's a story of courage, right? So, and I think that what you went through, we talk about adversity, and varsity is whatever it matters for each one. But sometimes, like we don't think like what you went through. So in a pocket of time, it's a lot. All right.
Yeah.
And you turn around, right? So you took over a different direction, which now he's being here and he's, transforming this badass, this beautiful woman, full of joy. Because when we met, that's would be the name like joy for sure, right? This good energy,
Uh-huh.
the smile, the
Right.
kindness.
Mhm.
But like in that time when you were not seeing, like you say, when adversity was hitting, right? So, but you decide to turn around, and what was the base of that decision that triggered
Yeah.
that could help our listeners that may have a situation that they are stuck, right? So you'll go
Yeah.
beyond that, but yeah.
Uh-huh. So I mentioned, so leading up to my brother's death, I had my divorce. What stemmed from my divorce, in addition to spiraling into a clinical depression, was financial ruin. I was bankrupt. I lost my house. I lost my husband. I lost my job. Even the dog died.
Oh,
Brother
okay.
died.
All
I
right.
mean, it was all of this within a year and a half. So hence
Okay.
my depression. So my option was really this. I had to move out of my house. I sold my house at one point, and my kids had to go live with their father in Pennsylvania. So I couldn't even be with my kids every day, which, by the way, they had been with me every day since the divorce and before, so that was tragic for me, but it had to happen. Fortunately, by then they were also starting to get into college, so they were also doing their thing. But it was very difficult for me, and I had to move in with my parents. So I had to go move back in to the home where I was raised as a little girl. And, my parents live in Portugal half the year, and I, sometimes have the house to myself, and I would come home from, whatever job I was doing at the time, because I'll tell you, when I was unemployed, I did whatever I had to do. I even drove for Uber,
Mm-hmm.
before I could get my feet on solid ground again. I did whatever I had to do. And I would come home, I'd be tired, and I was lying on a sofa one day, and I remember looking up at the wall in front of me, and was an oil painting that I had
Mm-hmm.
given to my parents on their 50th wedding anniversary.
Mm.
And it was a picture of their wedding, their wedding picture, but I had it oil painted for their 50th wedding anniversary. By the way, they've been married 67 years now. So that was on their 50th. And I looked up at that picture. I slept. I fell asleep. So I was so tired, emotionally drained. I would come home from my job, I'd fall asleep, and I woke up. I was just lying there, and I looked up at that picture, and I looked at that young couple. And I remember that young couple sacrificed everything. They turned their back on their parents, their brothers and sisters, their homes, the only home they'd ever known, their country. They left everything and came to the absolute extreme unknown, not
Yeah.
knowing language, not having any money. The money in their pocket was money they borrowed from my grandparents at interest, not having anything. And they came here with nothing but a dream. And
No,
they
yes.
worked, and they sacrificed, and they saved. And they did it all for me and my brother, who weren't even born yet. And
Yeah.
they continued to do that. By the time I was 15, our house was paid off in America. We were bought a new house in Portugal. We spent our summers in Portugal. I went to private school. My brother went to private school. Everything my parents did for us, for our well-being, for our future. And now the next generation. My son is now 30, my daughter's 26. They're now reaping the benefits of their grandparents' sacrifice. And I looked at that, and I played that story in my head. And then I looked down at the next to the TV stand, and I saw a picture of my children.
Mm-hmm.
And I see my parents and I see my children. And so I had an option. I was ready to check out. I did not want to live. I was tired. When I tell you I was tired, I was physically exhausted. I did not want to breathe. I did not want to eat. I did not want anything. I didn't associate with friends. I alienated absolutely everyone. I just really wanted to disappear. So I had a choice. Either I check out right now and I'm done, easy way out, or I get off my butt and I take action and I make a change. And I don't do it for me, I do it for them and I do it for my children.
Wow.
And I owed it to them to get up. And so I did. And I can't tell you what was the first step, although believe it or not, I think it was going to the gym because it was the only thing I could control. It was the only thing I said, okay, go to the gym. So, it was starting to take care of my body from the
Okay.
from the,
Okay.
it was starting to take care of my body. And then reading the books. And that's when I started exploring. Instead of retreating to my parents' home, I would go to a library and I would get
Okay.
personal development books,
Oh,
YouTube
gosh.
channels,
Good.
podcasts, whatever it was. And I would surround myself. I immersed myself with positivity.
So
And,
good.
and then suddenly I started meeting people, being introduced to people that hadn't been in my life previously that were like you, AnnaJo, my friend Nicole, some of my friends. And it was a completely different world. These people were so positive, but also they loved me and they believed in me. And it didn't matter what I was going through. They still saw light inside of me, even though I felt darkness. Um, but that gave me strength to keep going one more day. I just have to get through tomorrow. I just have to get through tomorrow. I just have to go through tomorrow, one day at a time. And that's what I did. And each day has led me to this, today, and the work I'm doing. And, it was a culmination of people and then opportunities and truthfully, faith that I had lost completely because I was so angry that my brother had been taken from me and I didn't understand. But I regained faith over time. And honestly, it was the hope first. The hope was the stepping stone and then faith, right? And truly that is the thing. Those are the things that I think really got me through. But it was shifting my focus from everything that I had lost.
Yeah.
How did I get here? My
Yeah.
life was perfect. I had the perfect house, the husband, the kids, the car, the education, the job. I had it all. I lost it all. And
Yeah.
I think that is the universe, you know, level setting us to make us realize how insignificant those things are. You have it today, you may not have it tomorrow. So I shifted the focus to everything that I had lost, and I shifted it to everything I still had. I had my
Yeah.
health. My kids had their health. My parents had their health. I have my parents. I have a roof over my head because my
Yeah.
parents were helping me, So I had beautiful friends coming into my life. I had opportunities starting to present themselves. And every single day, I reminded myself of all of the blessings and the things that I had to be grateful for. I stopped looking in the rear view mirror and I started looking out the dashboard in front of me. And
Mm.
I started proceeding forward and putting
Wow.
everything behind me. And so once I shifted that focus and started taking baby steps, but yet action, even though they were small action, but action towards moving in a different direction, that's when things started to change. And honestly, the universe does provide. I do believe there is an energetic shift that happens within you, and that opportunities do start to present themselves. You become like a human magnet. Things that I wasn't even looking for suddenly
Mm,
started to appear in my life. And my only explanation is the human magnet. I must be emitting some sort of energy right now that is calling these beautiful things into my life. There was no other explanation for it in my mind.
wow.
Anyway, gosh,
Amazing.
yeah, blah, blah, blah,
Amazing,
blah.
amazing. Wow. Because fast forward from that point, we
Yeah.
have a badass here that launched three business, wrote two books, tribute to woman honorary, right? So it's like so much that you did. Do you want
Yeah.
to now like talk about that mission that made
Yeah.
you like with this high energy, really thrive that and impact others and bring this joy. I totally like the word when I met you, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
to bring to the world with this authentic mission, because that's what we see when we meet you.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that regarding like this
Yeah. I love to
badass
talk about
journey,
that.
launching three
Yeah.
business, writing two books, and inspiring
Yeah.
the world
Yeah.
throughout this
Yeah.
journey of
Sure.
the after?
So I'm happy. There's actually three missions that are kind of happening concurrently and completely different things, but they're all very equally important to me. It's like having three children. Which one do you like more? I like them all, right? So
So funny.
right now, these are my three children. The first one, as I mentioned, the joy of losing your job already. That's going to be relaunched along with a tour, and really the mission there. Oh, I'm giving out the book for free. I have reduced there is no
Mm.
cost to the book. By the way, I never made a penny from the book. What I did was I created a scholarship foundation in the memory of my brother, David's gift. Any money I ever made from the sale of that book went into the scholarship fund, and I
Oh,
gave it to Eastside High School in Newark was where my brother was a teacher. They would get scholarships every year. But I have decided there are so many people struggling with job loss. I don't even want to charge for the book. So there will be no charge. It's a free download. Anybody who wants a copy of The Joy of Losing Your Job, it's just it's a chicken soup for the soul that is a compilation of stories of real life people who have lost their job, hit rock bottom, but at the end of their stories, everybody looks back and says, you know what, losing my job, best thing that ever happened to me.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's really just, to give a little bit of encouragement, inspiration. If it happened to them, it's going to happen for you. I then created Pathway to Joy, discovering joy after your job loss, because a lot of people ask me, well, your book is great. I love the stories, but I'm in the middle of it right now and I don't know how to start looking for joy. And so I put together the Pathway to Joy, which are some key steps and also strategy and tactics that I used in my journey and also
Mhm.
people used in the stories in the book. And I put it all together and I created an online course, and I will be delivering that through the course and also in this 100 city book tour. So there's the joy of losing your job. The Be the Boss of You is my second book. I've been working on that. And really what that is in this came back to kind of my story. Here was a woman who was a high achiever, who was successful. She had it all. And just like that, she lost everything. And it left her to question her life, her purpose, her value, her mission. Everything that she once believed to be true has gone out the window. And she's starting at ground zero. And what I noticed, or what I've experienced in my journey, is not too many people reached out to me to help me because they thought, well, she's going through a hard time right now. She just got divorced, but she'll be fine because she's strong. She's this, she's that, and the other
Mm,
thing.
mhm.
I needed help. I would go into my office sometimes, AnnaJo. I came into my office some days I was in so much pain. I would walk in my office, close my door, leave the lights on, and turn on my computer to make it look like I was in there working or whatever. And I would crawl in the fetal position
Oh my God.
underneath my desk and try to go to sleep, because the only time I wasn't in pain was when I was under that desk. asleep.
Oh, really? Oh my
So
gosh.
it was bad, but nobody ever took the time or cared enough, I felt, to say, Chris, we know you. You're not like this. What's going on? How can I help you? Nobody did that. And so I decided I wanted to create a personal development platform for these women. These are high achieving women. These are contributors to our economy, contributors to our society, contributors to the livelihood of future generations, their children, and all that. And yet sometimes they are the ones who get the least support because they're strong. They got it all together. They'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
No, no. So I
mm-hmm.
wanted to create a safe place where women can regain their equilibrium, become the boss of themselves once again in all areas of their life, whatever it is. Um, and it's the boss series, so that's under Simply Christina. So more information coming on that for sure. And then for businesses, I do still have a heart for corporate and business and corporate America, but it's more centered around that change management piece.
Oh,
I
okay.
see too, as an HR professional and also having been an HR consultant for so many years, very often the problems that I get asked to come in and fix in a
Mm-hmm.
company are things that could have been prevented or avoided through simple change management tactics. So that's why I created Rapid Change Mastery, which is a trademarked offering. And I'm super excited to be sharing that very, very soon with the world. Or
Mm.
businesses to really help them create an affordable solution for incorporating change management into their organizational transformations. So those are
Wow.
my three big things coming soon.
Wow, very good. Okay, so I think our listeners are like, oh my God, how this woman can have all together right now with three amazing projects coming out, right? At the same time, as you said, my three children, I love them all. So,
Right?
and this is a work life for badasses,
That's
right?
right.
So
Yes.
tell us, what is the strategies or like tactics that you may have to
Yeah.
balance both, what's your approach to balance your professional, your project responsibilities, and your personal life?
Yeah, you know what? So balance, work-life balance is incredibly important to me, right? Because I'll tell you, I know that one of my core values is my family and my friends, right up there. So if I'm not honoring that, I'm not being true to myself and I'm not happy, right? So I have to make sure that no matter what I'm doing and how many businesses I'm juggling, I always have time for playtime. Playtime is super
Mm,
important to me. So I schedule it. I put it
okay.
on my calendar and it's non-negotiable. If I had scheduled a meeting with a client, I would go to that meeting under any circumstances. I'm not going to miss that meeting. Well, I make meetings with myself and I make meetings with my loved ones and I stick to that time. And when I'm with them, I try to always keep my phone in my purse or keep it away. I mean, I'll take it out to take pictures and things like this, but I try to be very present for the people that I'm with. And I
I
think
love it.
really in terms of juggling it all, it's really it's not easy. It really isn't easy because it's a lot of juggling, but you know what? It's about prioritizing and
Mm-hmm.
really taking stock or inventory of how you are spending your day. If you're spending a little too much time surfing social media throughout your day, maybe you need to stop that because that's time you could be focused on doing something that is a revenue generating activity, right?
Okay.
Or television. I don't watch television. I really don't. I hate to say it. I used to. I don't. I just don't see the value in it in my life. It's not going to bring me closer to my mission and my legacy. So
Mm-hmm.
anything that is not creating value and is not going to set me on the path my destined path. If it's not critical, it's off the list. I don't do it. That's it.
Wow.
I've had to streamline I used to be OCD. I had to cook every night. I had to clean. I had to do my laundry every day. I get help now. I do. I just get help. Every few weeks I have somebody come in and help me. So I'm learning to delegate, and have people do stuff, for me. When I love to have friends over, I used to cook from soup to nuts. I used to do it all. I love it. I take a lot of get a lot of pleasure in it, but now it's almost impossible for me to do absolutely it all. So I do a little bit, and I give my friends the pleasure and the satisfaction of also contributing to the function. And guess what? At the end of the day, what's the real purpose for it? It's the company. It's for us.
Yeah,
It's not about the food. It's not about what you're serving. It's not about that. It's about the friendships and the relationships. And to me, that means more than anything. So,
absolutely.
yeah, I think it's prioritizing and good time management and really making sure that you're not spending time on things that aren't really going to lead you to
Yeah.
where to your intended destiny.
Let me ask you that because this is very important. It is very important fact is like you say making sure that you don't spend the time. Do you do assessment in terms of how you spend time, where you spend time?
Yeah.
What does it do you do this type of assessment in terms
Yeah,
of your
sometimes.
calendar? Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, well,
Okay.
so like what I'll do is like at the end of the night, before I go to bed,
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
trying to unwind and unplug. And I kind of think about the day and I think about all the things I did do and all the things I didn't get done. And then
Mm-hmm.
the things I didn't get done, I start to question myself. I start to evaluate, okay, why didn't I get that done? Oh, yeah, because I spent an extra 30 minutes doing this, or I had to end up doing
Okay.
that. So I kind of evaluate or assess
Like daily. Okay, that's amazing. That's
how the
amazing. That's a
day
great practice.
right?
Yeah.
Like just how the day flowed and what prevented me from getting to all the things
Yeah.
I intended to do. So making lists is important. Making that list, I almost like challenge myself. It's almost like a game. Like I say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do this, and this, right? And my
Yeah.
goal is to scratch everything off the list at the end of the day, so it's almost like a game. So at the end of the day, when I don't get to absolutely everything, I evaluate what didn't I get to and what prevented me from getting there. Was it really that I didn't have the time, or was there something else? Because I will tell you, sometimes procrastination because of insecurities
Yeah. Yeah.
creates it. And that's
Yeah.
a real issue when you're an entrepreneur and you're building stuff or trying to set something up. And the thief of procrastination comes in, creeps up behind you constantly and
Yeah.
tries to derail you and it tries to bring you off track. And it really does try to keep you from your intended destiny. It really does. It is a gremlin that we all need to battle. And so you have to ask, okay, did I not get to that because I legit didn't have the time because I got pulled into something else that took longer than I intended? Or is it because that gremlin came up
Yeah.
and derailed me? In which case, at least if you're aware of it, you're conscious of it.
Yes.
Now, the next time that happens, you're going to have an opportunity to fight back and move forward anyway and be productive.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
And that lead me to the another question. I think it's the final question because so much here in this episode today, which so you like a story that you share here, and now this practical, advice that you gave, like what you do. But from badass to badass, and our listeners are listening to us, are
Yes.
badasses as well.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
would be one advice, one piece of advice that you wanted to give to them to
Huh.
to live the life on their own terms? That's what is the intention.
Yeah. Be the boss of you. I think that the biggest thing, I know this sounds a little cliche, but um, what is that saying? It's that your prior experiences and the things you've been through do not define who you are or what you're capable of doing or becoming.
Oh, yes.
Don't ever think for 1 second, I don't care what you've been through. I don't care what losses you've faced or experienced, there is nothing that can stop you once you are clear on the thing that you want to achieve. For me, my driving force, like I said in my bio, right, is truly my kids and my parents. It's the vision of my parents when they came to this country, right? Like that keeps me fired up all the
Yeah.
time because
Yeah.
I gotta do this for them. I gotta do this for them,
Yeah.
This is what they sacrificed everything for. And my brother's not here anymore to do it with me. So it's all I gotta prove it, right? But I think, yeah, is your past failures and your past transgressions and your past adversities do not define you and who you are, what you're able to achieve, who you're able to become, has nothing to do with it. They were just
Wow.
lessons, lessons
Yes.
on the journey, lessons you needed to learn, things on the journey that built and contributed to your character and made you who you are today. And that's why I can say I look back at everything that I've been through, and I don't look back with regret or sorrow or sadness. I don't anymore. I'm truly grateful because I honestly don't think I'd be doing any of this stuff. And I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now if I had not had those experiences.
Wow.
Everything led me down this path. Every experience led me down this path, and I think
Yeah.
that's super, super important. Stop looking back, look forward, and
Wow.
be present. You just have to focus on today. Get through today. What are you going to do today? One day. That's it. That's
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about anything else. Yeah. I think
Oh my God. If our listeners are learning about your story and they like that, and now they are thinking about resonating with their lives, I'm sure they will take an action where
yeah.
they want to go. And the
Oh,
past don't define them. It's all about where they want to go and one day more.
one
Woo!
day. Just one day.
Christina, that's huge. Oh my God. But you know what? So we at AnnaJoTalks Work Life for Badasses, we go through the rapid fire type of questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm
let's
scared.
go. Let's go.
Now I'm scared. All right, go ahead. Go. Give it to
What
me.
is your favorite superhero?
Oh God, you know what? I'm gonna say my parents, but if I only need one, it's my mom. That she's my superhero. I know it's not Wonder Woman, but it truly is my parents. They are my superheroes.
Okay. Oh my God. What is your favorite place?
Portugal. Sorry,
Okay.
I gotta say it. I love my country. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes, I love it.
Any place in particular? Look at me asking Portugal.
Yeah,
Any place
no,
in
no, no,
particular?
right. Well, I love exactly where my home is in Cascais. I love the
Oh, yes.
beaches, I love the beaches, but there is not a single part of that country that I don't love. I really
Yeah.
end to end. But if I had to pick one spot, I love the central location of where I live in Cascais
Yes,
because I
guys.
can hop on the train and I can be in Lisbon, or I can hop on the train, I can be here and there. And, it's just so easy. And the beach is right there. And
Yes.
I
It's
got it
amazing.
all. I got the
That.
mountains, Sintra, right? I got Sintra
Yes.
right behind me.
Yes.
I
Yes.
got the
Yes.
beach in front of me. I got it all. So I
Yes.
love where I am. Yeah,
Cascais is very pretty.
it is beautiful.
What is your favorite music?
Oh, I love all music. I truly do. But if I'm in the car and I love 70s rock.
Oh,
I
okay.
know it's crazy, but I
That's
love
that's that's the good one.
70s
Hard rock.
rock and roll, Queen, Foreigner, but like 70s rock and roll, I love AC/DC. I don't
Oh
even
my
know
God. I
too
didn't know
much.
that about you. So
I
funny.
love it, love it.
All
Yeah.
right. Favorite book?
Oh, that's a really tough one. You know what? Look, I love books and I love a lot of books. But there was one that actually I read about 3 times, and I think it was when I was going through a very difficult time. and I think it's called The Light is New Black, or The Light is the New Black, or something like that. I forgot the girl's name. I'll have to get back to you on that one, but I thought it was The Light, something about the light. I could look it up, but it was by Rachel somebody or other. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
No
But
problem. We have these on the show notes. No worries.
yeah, it's I
All
don't know.
right.
There was something about that book. I read it like 3 or 4 times,
Gotcha.
and it was really it was good. Yeah.
Okay. Christina, and now we are coming to an end to this episode of AnnaJo Talks Work Life for Badasses. But tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, well, you can find me at simplychristina.com, I think it is, or could be simplychristina.pro, or Performance Management Continuum. There's so many places. I have like 3 different websites. So it depends
Yeah.
on how you want to connect with me. But otherwise, look for me on LinkedIn. Christina DeOliveira on LinkedIn. Connect with me there. Send me a message, and then we'll take it from there. Yeah.
Yes. And no worries. All these links are here as well on the show notes. All
Yes.
right. It was a pleasure to
Thanks.
have you here on this episode. And as I told in the beginning, I'm sure I will be blown away again, like for another nugget of your story. And I did. So I did know parts of the story you share here. And for
Yeah.
that, I want to honor and I say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you
very much for
so
having me.
much.
This is great. It was
Thank
a
you
lot of
so
fun.
much. It was a lot of fun. And our listeners will love to listen to this episode for sure.
Awesome.
So thank
Good.
you for tuning in to AnnaJoTalks Work Life for Badasses. I hope today's episode has inspired you to live your life on your own terms. Until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are capable, and you can do hard things. See ya.
You've been listening to AnnaJo Talks, Work Life for Badasses, with your host, Coach AnnaJo. To learn more about Coach AnnaJo, her blogs, and her coaching programs on how to achieve the work-life harmony you deserve, head on over to AnnaJoTalks.com. Make sure to follow Coach AnnaJo at Coach AnnaJo on all social media platforms. And don't forget to subscribe and listen to all of the AnnaJo Talks episodes on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. AnnaJo Talks, Work Life for Badasses was produced by Thrive Loud Productions. Thanks for listening.